Hi everyone, this is Suzanne Wagner and I'm doing the weekly astrology for January 5th through 11th, 2025. What is clear this week is that we feel unclear. We recognize that something sacred is attempting to grow, and to do that, we are being asked to take the necessary steps. What is presenting now are some steps that need to be taken, and that we need to hold on to some specific purpose that will guide us through the maze of intense astrology this year. We need something to focus on that has deep meaning for us. And if you are in touch with your guides, angels, and highest self, you will feel that hand of destiny on your shoulder nudging you forward. This week is important to listen to those promptings and follow them, even if they don't feel logical. What lies ahead is uncharted territory. While logic is helpful in familiar places, we must learn how to consistently integrate our deeper instinct and intuitive knowing to make it through with less upset or trauma. January 5th, the moon will move and go into Aries. The moon goes into Aries, and it is time to take a more active role in what is needed in our reality. More and more we see that it is not about anyone else, but about making our own choices and letting go of needing to rescue anyone from their karma. What is clear is that we cannot carry anyone else right now. It is time to let go of the shoulds and instead find a path and follow our own heart. January 6th, Mars will retrograde back into Cancer. Mars is a planet of energy, gumption, and drive. It is that spark that ignites and moves us actively into a new reality. But we are in a Mars retrograde, and as such, it is now backing up into Cancer, letting go of some of the fiery intensity and moving us in the direction of a more internally reflective state of being. What is clear is that the external world is not going to be our focus, regardless of what unfolds. We are needing to reconnect to our deepest selves and step away from any and all distractions that will not allow us to thrive. This is a position that seeks us to be more honest with ourselves. It is time to look at our own inner dialogue and decide if it is actually helpful in the process that will allow us to move forward. If an internal conversation is not helpful, it needs to be shifted. If a voice undermines us and sabotages our dreams, it is time to counter that voice with a clear and focused intention. This is a week where we get to look at the patterns that shaped us as a child and to know that what patterns those were trying to do was to keep us safe. Instead, they put us into a prison in our mind and blocked the expression of our true selves. Over the next many weeks, we are going to be looking at what patterns just no longer apply or work in our reality. We are going to have to honor our own needs over the demands of those that have been feeding off our energy. While it is a retrograde, what is being pointed out are the places that we need to take action over inaction. We are asked to look past needing to fit in and instead need to choose what will be of a greater value for us personally overall. January 7th, the moon will go into Taurus. The moon in Taurus will steady this emotional ship that we are on. It puts us into a position where we are at the helm of the ship and that we are going to take the rudder of that ship and get us to change directions. There is a great feeling of personal empowerment when we finally decide to take the wheel and not be at the whims of the storms generated by others. January 8th, Mercury moves into Capricorn. The communication planet Mercury moves into the determined sign of Capricorn, and we are in the new year, a place that we look ahead to what we want to create over the next year. Mercury assists us in a stronger and more clear focus. It sharpens our senses and makes us want to plan ahead and do it in a very practical way. This Mercury leans into being much more practical, and it will ignore the noise in the world and instead help you bring about a new and improved life personally. January 10th, the moon goes into Gemini. Today, the moves into the social sign of Gemini, and not only do we step into a more detached position and perspective, but we also want to be more aware of the darker side of the duality of life. If you cannot see the shadow side of another, you would be wise to not go into any business dealings with that person or make promises that you might keep, but they might not. Clear contracts are essential right now. Knowing who you are dealing with and knowing their strengths and weaknesses is going to be essential to move forward with the least amounts of upset. What we just don't want right now is to make things worse. And January 11th. The North Node goes into Pisces and the South Node will go into Virgo. The big news this week is the nodes shifting out of Aries and Libra and into Pisces and Virgo. But on some levels, this astrology feels like we are in a box being shaken up. Sometimes we are to feel like seeds being roasted and shaken to rid ourselves of a bitter skin on the surface that had been protecting us. Yet now that skin is not necessary, and we are being asked to shed what emotional crap is no longer going to serve us. The North Node tells us what we need to see inside us and how it is going to impact our external world if we use it wisely. The South Node tells us where we have been and what we have a tendency to lean towards, but the path is actually in the opposite direction. In this case, the South Node is in Virgo. What that means is that there is a strong part of us that wants to feel as if we have to do something perfectly. That is the big lie. There is no real perfect right now. We need to let go of our old way of navigating things and instead learn to listen to the deeper and often wiser parts of ourselves, our intuitive nature. The North Node in Pisces will teach us compassion, sometimes by forcing us to our knees, but we will have to take a hard look at what is really serving us and what is not. The South Node in Virgo makes us need to feel perfect, but in doing that, it separates us from ourselves and others. We are being asked to let go of being right instead move from a place that addresses the fact that needing to be right was a way to mask our deep-seated feelings of unworthiness and not being good enough. The North Node reminds us that the path to healing is always about compassion and care for others. We are being asked to listen and move from the heart, not the head. We are being asked to respect the sacredness of all life. The path ahead requires us to walk the path of inclusion, not exclusion. Needless to say, there's a lot of work ahead of us. This week, be open to what is healing inside and recognize that you have a chance to rewrite your reality with a few essential shifts. Take your time, move only when you feel safe, and know that what is unfolding will be for the greater good of all. Eventually. Thanks, everyone.